Hello, Cathy.
Hi, Dave.
Do you know what time it is?
It's
Game of Thrones time. We have waited all day to watch this because we got up early the last 3 mornings.
Yes, and we did not do that today.
Well, we tried. We set the alarm and you sort of woke up and were like, nope, not today.
I said, forget about it. I'm on maternity leave. I'm not getting up at 6 o'clock.
Fine, overruled.
Yes.
I, however, had to go to work and had an awful day because the Waterloo station in London is a complete mess for the next 3 weeks. And I was basically on a train for about 3.5 or 4 hours. I contemplated, because I was getting home so late, to watching it on the train. But
I'm glad you didn't do that.
I'm glad I didn't. Cause
and
it's not. It wouldn't be a way to do it. And also, apparently, this episode's very good.
I've heard it's very good. And I am a really good wife because I actually started watching it, given that I was at home. I started watching it and I watched 2 scenes, and then I felt guilty for watching it without you. Yeah, they were just set up. They weren't particularly interesting scenes. And then I felt bad for watching it without you, so I waited.
Okay. We're going to stay in tonight because it's quite late and I don't fancy walking around in the dark.
No.
Yeah.
So anyway, bye.
Okay, bye. Wow, that was one of the best hours of television I've ever watched.
It was amazing. I'm so glad you didn't watch it on your phone.
Oh, thank God.
Yeah,
that would have been terrible.
That would have been horrific.
That was so good. Like every scene, there wasn't a dud scene in that whole thing. That was just
and I went into it.
Tight.
I went into it thinking, if we don't get White Walkers, or if we don't get something wintry at this point, I'm pissed off because they've been the promises of the season and neither have been delivered. We got neither, and it didn't matter because it was awesome.
Well, you got a little sort of sketch cave drawing.
Yeah, a cave drawing. But like all the artwork for this season is a White Walker in winter, and so far we haven't seen it. But anyway, I'm not complaining because honestly, this is the best reunion special I've ever watched.
Reunion special? Yeah.
It's literally like one of those episodes of Real Housewives where they all reunite.
Yeah, and as much ag.
Yeah, and the pace was just... I mean, this is like a normal season of Game of Thrones, what just happened in this episode.
I love this new pacey Game of Thrones where it's like, okay, everyone's together, let's get on with this. Dragons.
Let's just do this.
And fire.
Who can we reunite next? Who's left to meet each other? Okay, so much happened, and we're going to start with the kind of most low-key plot so we can quickly discuss it before we move on to the more exciting ones.
Winterfell and the Starks.
Shenanigans.
So firstly, we had that scene with Bran and Littlefinger both trying to sort of out-creep each other.
Yeah.
Who could be the creepiest creep?
I'm not really into either of them.
Littlefinger was all like, here's a dagger that somebody tried to kill you with. Would you like it?
And have I mentioned I fancy your mother?
Speaking of daggers, your mother got killed by one.
And I loved her.
Oh, what I would have done if I'd been there.
And also, we have to say, we had phenomenal feedback on our Twitter this week about how much people hate Bran. Like, yes. It's universal.
Thank you to everyone who voted in the poll for their least favourite character. Bran won by 1%. It was 37% of you voted for Bran. Of course, it was rigged. All the choices were Bran.
Yeah.
But thank you for voting nonetheless. It was quite cool, though, when Bran said to Littlefinger, chaos is a ladder. And then with a sort of a knowing look. And we both kind of turned and went to each other and went, well, obviously he said that at some stage, but we didn't remember. And yes, we had to look it up. And there's a million articles explaining it. So apparently Littlefinger said that to Varys back when they were both serving Joffrey in season 3. There was a whole spiel he wrote.
Are you going to read us the whole spiel?
Lucky for you, I am. So he said, this is back in season 3.
Is this really long?
I'm gonna try it in Aidan Gillen's sort of bad Irish accent. Which is weird that he can't do one because he is Irish. Chaos isn't a pit. Chaos is a ladder. Many who try to climb it fail and never get to try again. The fall breaks them, and some are given a chance to climb. They refuse. They cling to the realm or the gods of love. Illusions.
Okay, you can stop.
Only the ladder is real. The climb is all there is.
First of all, this is a Miley Cyrus song, which is called The Climb.
Oh,
and second of all...
am I reading the wrong thing?
Second of all, please stop that.
Only the ladder is real.
Okay, then he leaves. While Bran says, "I'm not Lord Stark. Go fuck yourself," basically. And then we appeared to witness the invention of the wheelchair.
Yeah. He's like, what's her name comes in.
And Bran says, "I don't need you anymore. Bye."
What's her name? I forget her name. Anyway, she's like,
she's
hey,
like,
what's
my
that?
brother sacrificed himself for you.
Yeah, I'm glad that she finally somebody called Bran on being a dickhead and getting everyone killed.
And he was just like, please leave.
He was like, I like that he was like,
he said, I'm not Bran anymore.
I'm not Bran anymore. Even Bran doesn't want to be Bran anymore.
Yeah.
Like, nobody wants to be Bran.
Anyway, we need to get through this because that's the least interesting scene of the whole show. Arya! We see her on this beautiful mountaintop looking at Winterfell with this beautiful music.
Oh, the music was lovely throughout all this scene.
Yeah. And then
really,
she shows up the gates and says, "Oh, I'm Arya Stark," and they literally say, "This isn't just me, fuck off."
I loved that scene because
really
that's exactly what would happen.
Yeah.
Like, as if like nobody would recognize her, nobody would let her in because she seemed like a mad woman. I think it was just brilliant, and I love how she treated it with such logic. It was just excellent.
But did you think that, like, okay, we know she's about to meet Sansa, which I've been personally waiting for a long time, and because they put it in, because so much other stuff happened in this episode, I felt like it was anticlimactic, and I wasn't particularly moved by the meeting. Now, they deliberately did no music when they met, I think, because they were trying not to be sentimental.
I thought it was nice.
It was nice, but it was like,
was
is this what we've waited 7 seasons for?
No, but it was sweet, and I liked how they both acknowledged the journeys they've been on.
And it was a bit awkward, which I guess it would be. And then Arya said, "I have a list of people I kill," and they both laughed, like, and Sansa's like, "Oh, lols," and it's like, no.
And the next scene, she's like, "Oh, you do have a list."
And they said, "Our stories aren't over yet," and they hugged.
Well, that was a lovely line.
Yeah, but
this is really well written, I thought.
It was well written and well acted, but for me, I wanted more, and because this is probably the downside of the pace of this season, I felt like this wasn't given as much breathing room as it should have been. And then Sansa says,
I thought it was a nice scene.
"Bran's here too," and Arya looks really excited, and Sansa's like, "Oh, honey, no."
Oh, no, he's a weirdo now. He's the three-eyed raven now. He doesn't
And the next scene is Bran just hanging around in a tree, because that's what he does now.
And what does he do?
He just says, like, "Here's a dagger.
I saw you at the crossroads. I thought you were going to King's Landing, but you came here." Like, Bran,
and here's a dagger made of dragon glass, and Arya's like, "Thanks." That's the end of it.
So now this is interesting. So now Arya and Jon have Valyrian steel, and Jon has a mountain of it as well. But
so is Valyrian steel equals dragon glass? Are they the same thing?
Yeah, no, Valyrian steel is made from dragon glass as far as I know.
So yeah, basically Bran is just the biggest disappointment to Arya as well. And then the next scene is Bran, Sansa and Arya kind of walking around, and Brienne and Pod there. And Pod tries to give Brienne a pep talk. He's like, "You did really well. Like, Catelyn will be really proud of you." And Brienne's like, "No, I didn't."
I liked that, though.
And then Littlefinger...
I liked that. That got me. That got me a bit choked when he's like, "You kept your word." You know, no, what did he say? I forget. But like, she acknowledges I didn't do anything, but she still tried and she contributed.
She tried. And Catelyn Stark got brought up twice in this episode, which is interesting. And then Littlefinger, like a creep, is watching, and we wonder, is he on Arya's list? Probably.
Oh, I'm pretty sure he's definitely on.
He must be on the list.
I don't remember,
because she's like, "Why is he here?"
Oh no, he definitely is, because that's the last scene in Winterfell is Arya versus Brienne, which was a brilliant.
Yeah, that was
fight.
amazing.
Very, very enjoyable.
Yeah.
But she looks up at Littlefinger and gives him the daggers.
Yeah.
The old Valyrian dagger look.
I really enjoyed how that fight scene was shot. Like, the camera angles were so cool because Arya is so small and Brienne's so big.
Also, Maisie Williams looked like she was doing her own stunts.
I think she's doing her own stunts.
She is cool.
Even when she is kick ass. Like, she was on the ground and she jumped up, and how they choreographed, and in the end she dropped her needle sword, but she just pulled the dagger to Brienne's throat. And Pod's just like, "Oh, I've been training for 7 years and I could never do this."
I liked how Brienne asks her, "Who trained you?" And she goes, "No one." Which was a slight callback to the entire boring season of her with the faceless men going, "No one asks for nobody at no time."
Arya's had a way more interesting plot this season. But yeah, I think that stuff was all really fun and interesting. And then I liked how Sansa was... I just loved how they framed the whole scene, because Sansa was watching it, so we were seeing it through Sansa's eyes, and we haven't seen Arya fight like that before in a while.
I loved seeing Arya seeing Sansa through her eyes and vice versa. Do you know, it's very interesting.
Like, she's like, "Oh, do I call you Lady Stark now?"
Yeah, it was just. But that's what was so good about this reunion. It's just a reminder of how much they've they've changed and the journeys they've been on. I thought it was excellent.
It was excellent. No, I totally agree. I just think because so much else happened, I feel like it was overshadowed, and like it's the moment people have been waiting for.
I don't think so. I think this whole episode was just boom, 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 boom. It was everything was just perfect. Every plot perfect.
And I guess we'll get to this in the next.
The action, the emotion. Like, this is one of the best episodes of Game of Thrones I've ever seen.
Yeah, it was amazing. And then the next scene we get to with Daenerys and Jon. Again, I had been a little bit underwhelmed by their reunion last episode. So actually, this was the scene I was waiting for, really, with them.
Well, hang on. Firstly, can we talk? Can we give a bit of lip service to Missandei and Dany coming down the cliff? And she's all like, "Oh, I really miss Grey Worm," and Dany's like, "Hey, you bone a Grey Worm?"
Well, she's like, what did you do? And she said, many things. And Daenerys is like, many things, asking the question we were all asking, but wasn't he castrated? And then, anyway, they get interrupted by Jon,
who's doing the facial equivalent of,
And Jon was like, "Hey, come and look at this dragon glass." And she's like, "Not now, Jon." But this scene with Jon and Daenerys in the cave and how their interaction went down is the scene I had been wanting between them.
Chills.
Yeah, like really proper, good. Like
because it was a bit cold and standoffish when they sort of met in the throne room last episode, but this is them properly hanging out,
the two of them,
with a bit of wall exposition.
And so they're talking about, on the wall we can see that the White Walkers banded together with the, what were they called?
The Children of the Forest.
Children of the Forest. And he's, of course, brings it back to his agenda where he's like, look, the White Walkers were around even then. I'd be like, Jon, did you draw these yourself? Because this really suits your argument. But I just love that she says, I will fight for you when you bend to the knee. Like, she's not backing down.
She wouldn't back down, and neither would he. Although he's wavering a little.
He will, because he's saying people won't accept.
I think he is going to bend the knee.
Yeah, people won't accept a southern leader, and she's like, well, they will if you do.
Because also, why else have that scene, the next scene, with Missandei, him, and Davos, where basically she's just describing what kind of a ruler Dany is. She says, I could basically leave whenever I want. I have complete freedom. I trust her. And then Davos is like, hey, maybe I'll switch
sides. And Davos, Jon says, oh, she's got a big heart. And Davos goes, yeah, I've seen you looking at her big heart.
Yeah, so you're finally gonna get your wish.
I was so excited.
Hooking up.
But then Jon ruins it. Jon's like, there's no time for that. And then just briefly,
Jon has no time for that.
I do want to touch on the scene when Tyrion and Varys show up on the beach and they're like, whoops-a-daisy. So we took Casterly Raw.
The look they gave each other was just gold.
And I knew it. I knew this was going to happen after the last two episodes because like Tyrion has blown it. And she says...
Yeah, and she called him out, rightfully so.
Like, she says, basically, you've lost us, Dorne, the island, and the Reach, whatever the Reach is. And then she just turns to Jon and says, what do you think I should do? And he's like, well, dragons are a symbol of hope. Don't use them to hurt people in the city, which is really good advice.
I thought he'd get great advice.
But I reckon Jon's the one who said to her, go and get the Lannisters and get their gold.
Oh, do you think?
Oh, yeah, 100%.
He's like, what if you did this instead? So then that scene kind of ended with... Oh, no, we're missing the reunion. Theon and Jon.
Oh yeah, Theon shows up like out of nowhere. It's like, what, do we need this in the plot as well? So at this point, Theon and everyone, like, there's no time anymore in travel in Game of Thrones. You just show up and you're there, and that's the end of it. And awkward. And Jon is not happy, and he's like, if you didn't do what you did for Sansa,
if you hadn't had a redeemable character arc, I would beat you silly right now.
Yeah, and I do find Jon quite threatening. But Theon, at this point, I'm just sick of him. Like, I just think he adds nothing to any scene he's in. He's so dull. He's just snivelling character.
His journey's complete, really, wasn't it?
He's just...
Like, just... As soon as... It's like a bad soap opera. When they've run out of things to happen to a character, they just do the same things again. So, basically, he became a coward again.
Yeah,
and he had his redemptive arc. He freed Sansa. He went back to his sister. He's finally doing the right thing. And now he's a coward again. So, it's like, was he relapsing?
Yeah, it's just not interesting to me. Like, I think I was like
he's got
disappointed.
Nothing interesting left to do, I would say.
I was disappointed to even see him. I felt like that whole scene was completely pointless, and the only interesting part of it was when Jon said the Queen is gone, because we were like, ooh, where's she gone?
Yeah, where's she gone? But then we found out where she's gone. All right, so let's talk about all the other Lannisters scenes. So the first scene we got with Jaime and Bronn was them sort of.
And Bronn is Robson or Jerome. I never remember which one.
He is Robson or Jerome.
Yeah.
I forget as well.
One of those.
He's one of those.
And they're just transporting money, and Bronn's not happy. He's like, you promised me a castle, and Jaime's like, be happy with your bag of gold.
Yeah, I love it.
This is the opening scene of the episode.
Also, first of all, great to have Bronn back.
I love him.
Because Bronn is amazing, and Bronn was one of the best characters in this episode.
Yeah, he's very enjoyable. So yeah, that was the opening scene. So we establish, all's going well for the Lannisters. They got loads of money, yada yada. Then really, this is the only scene Cersei's in. Now, I know she did a great episode last time, but I was a bit disappointed. This is all she did this one. But I do enjoy how she always has wine. So she's meeting with the banker and she's just like sipping on her wine.
Imagine if you brought a bottle of wine into the bank when you're going in for our mortgage meeting.
Yeah, and he's going, oh, you've got this venture and that venture, and she's like, no, my only venture is re-establishing control of this continent and everyone on it. It's a very lofty goal.
That's what we said to our mortgage.
Yeah, and then they just look at this fabulous floor map, and he says, no one's ever paid money back this quickly, or will they?
Finished. Yeah, because it's all burnt and shit. Oh.
So then we cut to the
no more money.
The Lannisters again.
I can't wait to see her face.
I cannot wait for the wrath of Cersei. So Jaime and Bronn and Sam's dad. And Sam's dad's like, these guys are straggling. Let's flog them. Jaime's like, no, I don't.
It's like, what if we just ask nicely first? And maybe then flog them?
And there was a bit of humour here when he calls the guy Rickon again, because I think he's confusing him with the Stark's name, and then he says, no, it's Dickon, and Bronn starts laughing, which was like quite fun. And then Jaime's so dismissive because he says, Elena sided with that Targaryen girl. Like, he's like, oh, she's a girl, she's a nobody. It's like, well, Jaime...
And then seconds later she comes riding in.
We start hearing this thunderous noise, which we were saying sounds like Jurassic Park, and we were confused because we were like, if it's her on the dragons, what's the foot noise?
Yeah, because we'd figured out it was her and the dragon.
Yeah, because we're not idiots.
But like, yeah, where was the thudding coming from?
And I loved the battle cry of spears and shields, spears and shields. That was really cool. And then you're like going, oh my god, this is going to be one of those. And this is what I'd seen on Twitter. I hadn't seen spoilers, but I'd seen people being like, oh my god, that was an amazing battle and something about dragons. And then we see all the Dothraki just standing on their horses.
Just before this, like you were saying, sword and shield, that tension, the build up to what was coming around, that was
really
excellent
good.
Tension.
I'm so glad you didn't watch this on your phone.
Oh god, yeah, thank god. The Dothraki were amazing.
They're just
first
badass.
They were so terrifying coming over that hill on the horses, and
they stand on their horses.
Fought. I know, they were so cool. This whole battle scene, like, just when you think they can't really, how are they going to top Hard Home and Battle of the Bastards and all these things? It's like, that was that was straight out of Lord of the Rings.
I thought this was on par visually with Battle of the Bastards, though it didn't have the same resonance as Battle of the Bastards, because that was Jon versus Ramsay, who's so evil.
Yeah, and that one was it. But that's what I like about this show, because the battles all feel very distinct.
Yeah.
It's not just like dudes on the ground fighting and just loads of shots. Like, it's very easy to just get repetitive, but they never do.
No.
This one felt entirely different.
And it was so clever of her, because she sent, this is what I think she sent the Dothraki, is that how you say? They sent them in first so that the Lannisters would hear them and they would all get in formation behind shields. So they were all right next to each other.
Yeah.
And then she comes in and just blows them out of it with the dragon.
But
whereas if they'd all been scattered, it wouldn't have been so effective.
What was so well about how this was edited together and shot was that there was a real sense of geography. So did you notice the dragon, like, initially fired a line of fire down through
so
the main,
cool.
and that was a path that the Dothraki followed through to break
amazing.
Their ranks, and that was there. That line of fire, they kept panning to it in the overhead shots, and it made very clear sort of where everyone was positioned.
Like, how much money did they spend on that? And this is the best I've ever seen the dragons look, because they often can look very CGI in this.
Like, you can tell, like, they are spending, because I guess it's less episodes now, so which would mean more money, because the same amount of money, presumably.
Yeah, you're right.
Right, but so
I mean, this was spectacular. And in terms of character stuff, what I loved how brave Jaime was, because Bronn is like, let's get out of here, and Jaime's like, no.
Stupid.
Yeah, but that's what has always been at the core of Jaime's character, and I felt like, on reflection, this season Jaime's become a bit of a background character. He's very much just the right hand of his sister, and like, that's it. And I was reminded of what a good warrior he was in this episode, in that he wouldn't leave his men, and I do admire that about him.
He's a good commander in Night of the Realm, but it was interesting. Well, there's another slight reunion. We kind of had a Tyrion and Jaime reunion.
I know Tyrion's kind of watching from the corners,
and he's like, "Don't do it," like, because it was a bad move. Whatever it was a. I think I'm talking about Jaime just going for her with the spear.
Yeah.
I think it was a bad move, but I think even.
But it was
he
very
knew,
admirable.
Is that?
It's his sister's greatest foe.
I guess, but I guess he saw an opportunity, and everything was lost. But
and I think he thought because the dragon, he doesn't quite know the power of the dragon, and I think they thought that their machine had killed him. I don't think he realized the dragon could still breathe fire.
Maybe. But I think it was a little bit of a cop out. Somebody just, was it Bronn or who we don't quite know who, just shouldered him out of the way at the last second.
I'm sure it was Dickon who had previously saved him a minute earlier.
Total cop out.
It was really cool when the Dothraki and Bronn were charging at each other, and the Dothraki guy just chopped Bronn's horse's leg off.
Yeah,
like that is badass. And
Bronn, there's an amazing moment in this battle where it was all one shot, following Bronn in the thick of it.
That was amazing.
Chaos and everything.
That was like Battle of the Bastards, because that was the hand to hand like trench stuff.
So good.
And everyone was aflame. I found that really distressing, like people burning alive. Fire. And then you notice it was just all one shot for ages.
And you saw people trying to run into the lake.
Yeah, it was horrible.
It was horrible.
It was really violent, and the single shot was really cool. And then I just thought, you know what? I really admired Bronn for getting out that weapon. Now, he aims at Daenerys and misses. And this is where Daenerys is stupid, because she sees that.
And it went right by her head.
Yeah, she keeps going for it. And she didn't need to at this point, because they had essentially obliterated the Lannister army, and the Dothraki were there to finish the job. She didn't need to stay.
Yeah, it was quite arrogant.
So I think that was really arrogant of her.
Plus, also, she was going in a completely straight line towards it.
Yeah, like she wasn't being clever at all.
She gave him an easy shot. Now, still, to Bronn's credit, amazing shot. Like, that can't be
easy.
Bronn
was amazing. And Bronn better get his castle after this. So then at the end, Jaime kind of runs for her, and then somebody, Hail Mary, rescues him while Tyrion's looking on, which I liked, because Tyrion and Jaime, in a weird way, do like each other. And at the end of the last episode, Jaime found out that Tyrion had nothing to do with Joffrey's death, and you like to think that if they met now, they would kind of embrace. I
think Tyrion knew all along that. Jaime knew all along that Tyrion had nothing to do with Joffrey's death. Really? He helped him escape. Don't forget, Joffrey was still his son. If he'd actually believed that Tyrion had done it, he probably wouldn't have helped him escape.
Yes, but now there's no suspicion, But when he was knocked in the water right before he was knocked in, and we thought she was going to breathe fire on him, I actually thought, you know what, this is a fitting end for Jaime, because there's nothing left for him to offer the show.
Same. I think he should have died.
But I think he did die.
It kind of looked like he was dying, but then why bother? Why not just have him burn alive in that moment? Why bother have him, last minute rescue, then he's in the water, and question mark
It
credits.
Was a beautiful
shot. Why do that if you're not going to bring him back? That's
visually it was stunning, the ending of him going through the water.
Oh yeah, faultless. But from a story point of view, you're only going to do that if you're going to bring him back.
Yes, but remember, this happened with Stannis. We never saw him die. I'm convinced Stannis is still alive, tied to that tree.
Like, Stannis is
when
dead.
They didn't show us Stannis dying, though. I
know, but this is the problem when they don't show you the.
But that's what I mean. So I don't necessarily, in another show for sure, I would be like, he's not dead, but he was really deep in the water, and it just feels right that he would die now. I don't see at any point what he's left adding to it.
I agree.
Other than I love the actor.
From a story point of view, I think he should be dead, but I would be sad to see Jaime go.
Yeah.
At this point, I'd be sad to see any of these characters go.
I know.
Everyone was just knocking it out of the park this episode.
I just cannot wait to see
what... The humour was just... There was some great
really
moments.
Good. I just can't wait to see Cersei in the next episode.
I cannot wait to see her
she's
face.
now lost all her gold, potentially her brother and lover and her army. And it was interesting, Tyrion looked sad watching the army, because I guess they are his people.
Army.
Yeah.
It's their people.
But then it's like, Tyrion, you've been plotting their downfall.
It was interesting to see just how useless they were against the Dothraki. Like, these are real warriors who just fight differently. It's nothing.
To be fair, though, the Dothraki had dragons on their side.
I know, but even then, I reckon the Dothraki would have slaughtered them.
I don't know, because they looked evenly enough matched on numbers. I think the dragons waited.
Anyway, it was just so cool to see such a variety in warriors.
Yeah,
right?
That was amazing.
Like the old armor, swords and shields, and then you've got the leather and the sandals and the...
It was incredible.
Like, so fun.
Good.
Oh my God.
So we've only 3 more episodes left.
Yes.
I need to be careful. This stuff's going to start inducing labour. Like, this is intense. I mean, surely in a normal Game of Thrones, this would have been the penultimate episode, and we'd have had a nice quiet finale.
Yeah.
Now, this is only 4 out of 7, and I don't think they're going to slow down the pace next episode.
No. I just cannot wait.
No.
But I love this. It's become Cersei versus Daenerys, and I'm loving it.
Yeah, because at this point, like, we know Jon's going to kneel to Daenerys.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's where they're going.
And I really like the insinuation that Jon fancies her. I'm into that.
Yeah, I know you are. You've said it every episode.
Do we think Cersei's going to hook up with what's his name? The evil uncle?
If so, only
if Jaime's
for
dead.
her own ends.
Yeah. But yeah, anyway, highly exciting. But we should get off now.
Let's wrap it up.
Close to bedtime.
My God, let us know what you thought of that. We've already had some people tweeting us today.
Yeah, it's been really fun.
Can't wait till you watch. So tweet us at The Cinemile. We're also on Facebook and Instagram. Just search The Cinemile. And email us. You can always email us, thecinemile@gmail.com. We've been getting loads of emails lately, so thank you.
Yeah, really fun. We love getting emails. And then the other thing is, if you haven't already done so, please subscribe to us on iTunes and leave us a review.
iTunes or any other podcast app. We're also on the Acast network. So whatever you use to listen to your podcast, please subscribe to us and leave us a review because it helps.
Okay, bye.
Thanks, bye.
I didn't expect it to smell like that.
Men shit themselves when they die. Didn't they teach you that at Fancy Lad School? Well, I learnt it when I was 5.